What if a pro wrestler was teleported to save another world from monsters, but he likes animals way too f***ing much? The main event is about to begin as we have the champion, the Macadamian Ogre, versus the challenger, Animal Mask. They are known to have a long rivalry, but tonight's match will decide who the true champion is. Meanwhile, Animal Mask is sitting in his room preparing for the fight. Being a pro wrestler was the first chapter in Animal Mask's life, and if he wins the World Championship title tonight, he will be set to start the second chapter of his life. Just then, a purple-suited man enters the room, informing him that it's almost time for the fight, but Animal Mask tells Big Sago that he's interrupting his monologue. Big Sago asks him what he plans to do if he wins tonight, so Animal Mask decides to reveal his plans, but Big Sago realizes that it's time for the fight and leaves. Animal Mask thinks he's always in a hurry, but he continues his monologue, stating that his next goal is to live his life surrounded by the animals he loves. So with that, Animal Mask heads out along with his dog Hiroyuki for the finale. He makes a grand entry, and is ready to f***ing destroy the champion, as this is the final challenge before he can fulfill his life dream, to open up a pet shop. The bell rings and the smackdown begins. Animal Mask is impressed with Malice's strength, so he climbs onto the ropes with Hiroyuki for his signature move. But elsewhere, a woman from another world has started a ritual to summon the strongest man from another world. Animal Mask jumps from the ropes, but he starts to glow as the crowd and Mal are confused as f***, and Animal Mask and Hiroyuki disappear. Now that is something the WWE will never be able to pull off. Jinzu, aka Animal Mask, appears in front of the princess and her priests, so she hesitantly asks if he's the hero, but the priests wonder if the ritual failed and summon a pervert in undies instead. Jinzu wonders if this is one of Big Sago's tricks, but the princess politely thanks Jinzu for responding to her summoning request, and she asks him to help defeat the evil demon beasts and the Demon King. Jinzu asks about the demon beasts, so the princess shares that they are terrifying animals called monsters, and she wants his help to exterminate them. But their hero is furious at the disrespect of animals, so he hugs the princess from behind, but she mistakes this for something else, telling him to at least wait until the priests leave. But Jinzu flips her and pins her to the ground. After a 3-second countdown, Jinzu gains his victory over the princess, but he realizes that he has gone too far, so he covers up the princess using his cape, but the priests tell the soldiers to arrest him, so Jinzu is chased out of the castle. He makes it to the town, but the people give Jinzu weird looks, almost as if they are seeing a masked pervert in his underwear in broad daylight. He looks for someone to ask about this world, but everyone keeps avoiding him, so he realizes that asking people questions while wearing a mask is rude, so he steps into an alley to take off his mask. Now he's not Animal Mask, but Jinzu Shibata, so no one will call him a pervert. However, he's shocked to see that somehow, people can still recognize him without the mask, so Jinzu hides in an alley and assures Hiroyuki that he will find a way out. But after a few minutes, he apologizes to Hiroyuki for being so useless, but Hiroyuki is still proud of his sus-ass master. Just then, a brother and sister notice Jinzu sitting with a unique creature. Since dogs don't exist in this world, they decide to capture him to sell him for cash. They approach Jinzu, and without even thinking about their intentions, Jinzu is in love with the girl's cat ears and the human-sized wolf. Jinzu's ultra-desperate mode is turned on, scaring the shit out of the siblings, but Jinzu only wants one of them, so he pins the Beastman down and starts playing with him. His sister tries to pull Jinzu's undies to get him off her brother, but there's no stopping Jinzu now. He finds the Beastman's G-spot to pet and he has accepted his fate. But Jinzu turns to the cat girl, saying that it's her turn now, but just as Jinzu is about to grab her cat ears, he hears a man capturing a she-wolf to sell her. He turns around and sees the she-wolf crying, saying she doesn't want to live at some noble's house and eat free snacks, but Bald Wolverine tells her that she's not getting sold to a noble who will give her free snacks. We learn her name is Shigeru, who states that she might agree to get sold if her owner feeds her filet mignon every day. Jinzu knows that it wouldn't be right for an outsider like him to get involved. However, he sees something, making him realize that he has no choice but to save her. Shigeru has ears and a tail like a wolf, so since Jinzu has never pet a wolf, he's not letting this chance slide. He tells Patchy the pirate to stop right there, as the cat girl informs Mr. Edgar that Jinzu is an SS-class pervert, and he already had his way with her brother. Jinzu corrects her, saying he's not a pervert, but he simply loves all animals regardless of their gender. But after looking at Jinzu's outfit, Edgar realizes that Jinzu is a pervert like none the world has ever seen. Jinzu approaches Edgar, so Baldy tries to run, but Jinzu suplexes him and slams him onto the ground. The countdown to 3 begins and Jinzu wins the fight. Cat Girl and her brother carry Edgar, as the girl tells Jinzu that they will get back at him, but Jinzu realizes that he still hasn't pet her ears, so he starts chasing her while her brother scolds her for opening her mouth. But Jinzu suddenly stops when he hears Shigeru thanking him for saving her, so Jinzu says that it was only right to save her from being kidnapped by that slaver. But Shigeru corrects him, saying that she borrowed money from Edgar, so Jinzu realizes that he must have charged lots of interest and then decided to sell her to pay her debts. But Shigeru corrects him again, explaining that it was her idea that if she couldn't pay the debt by the deadline, he could sell her. In exchange, she got a loan from him with no interest, and Edgar didn't want to lend her money in the first place, so Shigeru cried in front of his shop until he gave in. She wanted to start a business and get rich, but she ended up losing all her money when humans started copying her business and making more than her, so Jinzu realizes that knockoff Wolverine didn't deserve to be suplexed. He introduces himself and unties Shigeru. She tries to make him feel better for what he did to Edgar, saying that he was one of the humans who stole her idea, but Edgar thinks he basically committed a felony, and Shigeru apologizes for not being able to pay Jinzu for his help because she is broke. But Jinzu looks at her tail and ears, suggesting that she could pay with her body instead, but Shigeru thinks he's a f***ing loser. Meanwhile, Edgar and the others think of a plan to get back at Jinzu. Edgar and Beastman decide to steal Jinzu's dog, Hiroyuki, but Catgirl has a bad feeling about it. Shigeru leads Jinzu to the Hunter Guild where they can work and earn money, and they get an interview. During the interview, Jinzu claims that he loves all animals regardless of their age, gender, size, hair size, tail length, or eye color. So he intends to have a caring and loving relationship with animals at all times, but Uncle Interviewer has no f***ing idea what Jinzu is talking about, and he's also feeling really uncomfortable with Jinzu's 2023 minimal beach outfit. Just then, the guild master is saved by a group of adventurers. They inform him that their party was wiped out by a Cerberus pack. Jinzu gets excited to meet the monsters, so he immediately rushes to have a look, and the guild master can't believe how brave he is. Redhead tries to hand Jinzu a weapon since it's his first time fighting monsters, but Jinzu can't believe he thinks a wrestler would use a weapon, but Redhead says Cerberus beasts have 3 heads, so they are extremely dangerous, but this just means 3 times the petting opportunity for Jinzu. He charges in, thinking if he can befriend the pack leader, the others will become his friends too. So Jinzu avoids the other beasts and goes straight for the leader. The leader charges, but he pins the leader down and starts sniffing him in a really unconventional way. The countdown begins and the leader gives in, making Jinzu the new leader of the pack, but the adventurers can't f***ing believe what they just saw. They head back to the guild and get paid for the quest. Shigeru asks what he will do now, so Jinzu shares that he wants people to understand how wonderful demon beasts are, and his mission is to make a peaceful world where humans and demon beasts live together. Shigeru is on board with the plan, so Jinzu announces that the 4 of them will do their best to make this dream a reality, but Shigeru is confused since there are only 3 of them, but she looks to her right and a gigantic ass ant spawned out of nowhere. Jinzu explains that if they show love, the demon beasts won't try to harm them, but Shigeru hears other hunters talking about the demon beasts, saying they killed his wife and kids, his brother, sister, grandparents, stepsister, step-cousin, step-brother-in-law, great-grandparents, and the worst death of them all, his extended sister-in-law's brother's cousin's son's son. So he shouts that he will kill them the next time they see them, as Shigeru unenthusiastically agrees with Jinzu, and he continues to state that it's all about love, so Jinzu tells her that he has a plan. He is going to open a pet shop. Shigeru really likes the idea of opening a pet shop, and is totally on board with it, but she asks Jinzu what a pet shop actually is. Shigeru finds it strange that people would agree to keep demon beasts in their homes, but Jinzu claims that he will raise them so they won't harm humans. Jinzu is fully determined to become a bridge between humans and demon beasts. However, he won't be doing it for free. He will raise them and take money from humans who want to take them home, so Shigeru likes the idea of getting money from both the guild and normal people. This way, they will get twice the money, so she can't f***ing wait to start this pet shop. To finalize their plan, deciding they need a place to live and to keep the demon beasts, but for that, they need more money, and Shigeru shares that she still needs to pay back Edgar, but she also wants to form a party with Jinzu. Jinzu happily accepts Shigeru's proposal to form a party. However, Shigeru is creeped out that Jinzu is constantly staring at her ears. They check out the board for available quests, but Jinzu asks about the fat-ass book that's sitting near the quest board. Suddenly, a knight approaches him, and he explains that this book has information on the demon beasts. He praises Jinzu, saying he won't need the book because he's the famous demon beast killer, but Jinzu is f***ing triggered about being called the killer of beautiful creatures, so he f***ing launches the guy into the wall. He casually picks up a book like nothing happened, but since he cannot read the language, he asks Shigeru about the highest paying job. She suggests choosing something easy for their first quest, but Jinzu wants the one with the highest reward, which is to defeat the red salamander, so Jinzu decides to pick this one and asks Shigeru to show him the salamander from this book. It's a giant, fire-breathing lizard, so naturally Jinzu can't wait to pet him. But suddenly, a flashy guy with 3 girls in his party, Heat Haze, offers Jinzu to tag along on this quest, and we learn he is the strongest man in the guild. Shigeru tells Jinzu they should use his help, and the leader tells Jinzu not because he will kill the salamander with a single stab, but Jinzu immediately spins and launches him into the wall. The other hunters are confused as fuck, but Shigeru sees the guy's sword on the floor, so she says finders keepers and steals it. They travel to the volcano plains, as Jinzu easily overcomes the salamander with his love, naming it Yoshiko, the newest admission to his pet harem. The idiot at the counter praises Jinzu for taking down a salamander on his first quest, so he gives him the reward from the guild, but he tells Jinzu that he is indeed the great demon beast killer, so he is now stuck in the ceiling. Meanwhile, Beast Man and his sister are bored, so she suggests going out to wander and do something bad. He agrees, until he remembers what Jinzu did to him, so decides not to go out. Just then Jinzu enters the store and Beastman immediately goes into PTSD mode. His sister tries to defend him, but Jinzu and Shigeru are only here to pay this month's payment. Elsewhere, in a dark castle, a demon girl is looking at a human's cookbook, thinking that she wants to try human sweets. She is tired of eating goblin meat or orc meat every day, so she yells that she wants to go out into the world and eat all kinds of yummy foods. Back in the forest, Shigeru informs Jinzu that their next target is a group of soldier monkeys, but there's a shit ton of them, so she asks Jinzu if he has a plan. Jinzu thinks about it, finally saying that they must have a cute butt. Suddenly the monkeys arrive and surround Shigeru and Jinzu. Shigeru is terrified, but Jinzu can't f***ing wait. They charge at them, but Jinzu has a secret weapon. He whips out an apple, and time freezes as they transport to a different reality. They touch the juicy apple, looking into each other's eyes filled with love. With this, Jinzu easily wins over all the monkeys, and they're even massaging him, making him fall asleep. Jinzu dreams about being surrounded by cute demon beasts, but Shigeru wakes him up, so he says he had the best dream ever of being surrounded by demon beasts, but Shigeru says he's literally f***ing surrounded by them right now. Shigeru tells Jinzu they might get in trouble if someone finds him with all these demon beasts, but Jinzu misunderstands her statement and gets worried that somebody might steal them, so they need a place for their demon beasts to live, but Shigeru reminds him that they don't even have a place for themselves to live. Realizing that he needs a lot of money, Jinzu barges into the Hunter Guild and picks out the highest paying quest again. But this time, the quest is to deal with the orcs that are stealing humans' crops, so Shigeru shows Jinzu a picture of orcs, making Jinzu totally not excited about this job because orcs are not animals. However, Shigeru is much more excited than usual because this job pays a lot, enough for them to get a house, so Jinzu agrees to take on the job while nobody thinks he can solo the orcs. Meanwhile, the little demon girl has run away, so this loaded girl with massive cannons swears to find her, saying she'd kill anyone who dares to harm her princess. Elsewhere, Jinzu and Shigeru are traveling, but they decide to rest around a lake because Jinzu doesn't want to be tired before the fight. Shigeru realizes that Jinzu is looking forward to the fight, so she says that orcs and demon beasts are the same thing to her, but Jinzu immediately yells at her as they are totally different. Shigeru takes a bath in the lake, thinking about how Jinzu is a different breed, but at least he doesn't discriminate against beast people. Just then Jinzu appears from behind the bush, making Shigeru worried that Jinzu has failed to control his lust, so she tries to hide her treasures underwater, but Jinzu jumps into the water to pet a beautiful unicorn, naming her Mommy-chan. Shigeru should be relieved, but somehow, she's equally as mad about this. After their break, they arrive at the orc village, but Jinzu tells Shigeru to stay out of it while he goes in to talk with them first. Jinzu steps inside and immediately throws his shirt on the ground, asking for the strongest person to come and fight him. The orc leader appears, so Jinzu tells him to stop stealing from humans, but he refuses, so Jinzu kicks the leader, saying the gong has rung, but the leader has no f***ing idea what that means. He admits that was a good kick, so he punches Jinzu, yet he holds his ground. They exchange a number of punches and kicks, but suddenly, Jinzu grabs him from behind and suplexes the orc king. The countdown from 3 begins, making Jinzu the winner as they crown him the new king of orcs. Shigeru isn't too sure what she just saw, but she's happy that Jinzu won. The next morning, the orcs look at Jinzu with respect as Jinzu leaves the ex-orc king in charge, but he orders them to stop stealing the crops. Shigeru asks why he didn't talk to them first, so Jinzu explains that they talked with their fists instead, but Jinzu is more excited to see if Mommy-chan is still at the lake. Back at the guild master praises Jinzu for taking down the orcs, but he ends up calling him the best demon beast killer, so Jinzu grabs Grandpa's beard and warns him never to call him that. They go to the bank and apply for a loan, but after explaining what a pet shop is, Four Eyes tells them that they need to pay a 20% down payment to own a store. Meanwhile, the demon girl has entered the town and she is drooling outside the cake shop, but in the middle of the night, a drunk soldier gets attacked by a mysterious creature. The next day, Shigeru and Jinzu were settling in their new house, but Shigeru says they still need to make the down payment. Jinzu tells Shigeru that they will have to make sacrifices until these cute demon beast babies get new homes, but Shigeru is not happy with being the parent of these beasts, thinking it costs a shit ton to feed them, so she heads out to look for another job while Jinzu starts feeding his children. Later that day, a neighbor stops by and greets Jinzu, but seeing a fluffy beast woman, Jinzu gets f***ing hyped and falls off the roof, rushing to hold her hands. She gets shy, but before she gives in to Jinzu's charm, she runs off to go shopping. He hears Hiroyuki and Ant-Man barking, so Jinzu checks it out, but he finds a demon girl lying unconscious, so they bring her inside and put her on the bed. She finally wakes up, so Jinzu offers her all the food they have, a plate full of fish. The girl asks if it's okay for her to eat it, so Jinzu says that it is fine thanks to her luscious horns and tail. She then introduces herself as Linda Belia, so we'll call her Linda, and she says she's a half-dragon. Jinzu introduces himself, telling her to eat before she loses consciousness again, so Linda thanks him and picks up her food, Hiroyuki, but Jinzu stops her immediately, saying that Hiroyuki may look like a cute loaf, but he's not food, so Linda apologizes, saying that Hiroyuki was looking like a snack. Within a second, she empties the plate of fish and asks about the demon beasts in cages, so Jinzu explains that he's raising them so he can open up a pet shop. Linda has no f***ing idea what pet shop is, but seeing all the beasts here, she asks if it's a restaurant where he cooks demon beasts. But Jinzu shuts her down, explaining the concept of a pet shop. He shares his goal of making this world a place where humans and animals can coexist, and Linda loves the idea, so she asks Jinzu if she can have Hiroyuki. She hugs Hiroyuki, promising to raise him with love and to get him nice and plump, but Jinzu knows she only wants to eat him, so he grabs Hiroyuki out of her hands, wondering if half-dragons like to eat everything. He gives Linda the book and asks her to show him the page with half-dragons, but Linda immediately closes the book and tells him that she has something to do, so she says goodbye and leaves. Shigeru enters the house, but she gets scared because she smells a dragon, so she scolds Jinzu for bringing in a dragon, but Jinzu explains that he only made some food for a half-dragon. She thinks the smell is a little too strong for a half-dragon, wondering if Jinzu just took a massive shit, but he asks her if she found any jobs, so she takes Jinzu to the guild master. He informs Jinzu that people are getting attacked every night, but Jinzu isn't interested in catching a human, but a man who was attacked earlier reveals that the attacker was a demon beast, so Jinzu sits back and is locked in. The drunk soldier shows Jinzu the bite marks on his neck, explaining that the attacker has big wings and sharp fangs, so it must be a dragon, but Jinzu is excited that there's a dragon in town, until he realizes that he just met a half-dragon. Just then, Heat Haze enters the room, offering to slay the dragon with his new magic sword so he can be known as a dragon slayer. He offers to slay the dragon with Jinzu, but Jinzu karate kicks Mr. Heat Haze out of the room. His new sword falls right in front of Shigeru, so she takes it again. The guild master completely ignores what just happened, requesting Jinzu the beast killer to help them, since he is the only one who can do it, but Jinzu knocks out the old man for this disrespect. Jinzu and Shigeru head out to look for the dragon, so Shigeru sniffs around, immediately identifying the scent. She claims that it's the same scent that was coming from their house, but Jinzu's wrestler intuition tells him that she isn't the culprit. However, he thinks Shigeru's nose is never wrong, so he heads into his room and puts on his wrestler suit, which is literally just a f***ing mask and a cape, minus the suit. He puts some pet food into a cage as a trap, and within 10 seconds, the little dragon girl is trapped in the cage, so Jinzu closes the cage, but Linda asks Jinzu who he is since he's wearing a mask right now. Jinzu introduces himself as Animal Mask, explaining that he set this trap for her. Linda asks what he intends to do with her, but Jinzu panics, so he clarifies that even though he finds her horns and tails attractive, he doesn't like little girls. Just then, a group of knights approach Jinzu, but they accuse him of being a pervert who is trying to kidnap a child. Jinzu realizes that this does, in fact, look extremely f***ing sus, so he runs for his life, but Linda is running next to him, asking if they thought Jinzu was trying to have his way with her, but Jinzu asks how she even escaped from the cage, so Linda explains that she pulled on the bars and they separated. He He doesn't question it, asking why she's running with him, so she says that he doesn't seem like a bad person to her. Just then, the attacker appears on the roof and tells Jinzu to step away from Linda. She continues to monologue, but Jinzu and Linda start throwing stones at the woman, interrupting her. We learn her name is Carmilla, Linda's maid. Linda tries to deny knowing Carmilla, but Jinzu tells her that she just said her name. Carmilla tries to attack Jinzu with her claws, but Jinzu says her claws are nothing compared to his past wrestling nemesis, Jack the Rapper. They struggle, and she can't believe he's a human with this strength. But Carmilla gets overpowered by Jinzu, so Jinzu and Linda escape, but the knights are still looking for the pervert, so Jinzu decides to get creative. He gives Linda a mask. This way they both look like an ordinary masked couple, achieving 99+ stealth. He gives Linda a fake name, Destroyer Hanako, and she loves it. They casually walk in the street when they run into Shigeru, so Shigeru asks what the f*** he is doing, but he says he doesn't know who she's confusing him with, when suddenly, a knight arrives, so Shigeru distracts the knight and barely leaves. She takes them back to the house and Jinzu takes off his mask, but Linda is shocked that Animal Mask is actually Jinzu even though she's literally inside the same f***ing house she was in earlier. Linda formally introduces herself, but as she's about to say her family name, Shigeru tries to leave, but Jinzu says that's rude as f***. So Linda reveals that she's from the Fafner family, one of the 4 families that serve the Demon King. Just then, Carmilla spawns in and introduces herself as Vanstein Carmilla, but she asks where the masked man is, making Shigeru think she's a moron. But Carmilla decides to kill Jinzu and Shigeru instead because they now know about the Fafner family. However, Shigeru gives Jinzu the holy water from church, so Jinzu throws it at Carmilla and she screams in pain. Jinzu pounces on her, as Shigeru tells him to stuff this f***ing piece of garlic in her little f***ing mouth, but Linda apologizes on Carmilla's behalf and asks for forgiveness, explaining that she's her servant, so Jinzu asks Linda what she really wants to do in life. Linda lets it all out, explaining how she was sick of staying in the mansion, learning to kill humans, but most importantly, she was tired of orc and goblin meat, so she asks Jinzu to let her help with the pet shop, this way she can stay by Hiroyuki's side. Carmilla asks her to rethink her decision, but Linda says fate brought her to Naked Man in a Speedo, so Carmilla grudgingly agrees to tell her decision to the clan leader. But Shigeru says they don't have the money to hire her, but Linda doesn't need money, so Shigeru immediately hires her. From now on, Linda's new name is Hanako, but they wonder who the attacker was from earlier, so Carmilla says it was her. Thus Jinzu immediately suplexes the f*** out of her, and after a countdown of 3 Jinzu wins again. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Kemono Michi, Rise Up. Till next time.